morning everyone. Well, at last it looks like we've got a really clear, calm day out there. So I'm about to head over to the allotment to harvest some cabbage and some fennel, and also just to have a quick look in the greenhouse, see what's happening in there, and just to check that everything's okay. So Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, which brings me to say it's about time I cooked up another sweet treat for you. So when I get back from the allotment, I'm going to be making some fudge, but not just any old fudge. It's a fudge with an Irish cream liqueur. It will go down a treat. It's a little difficult to film because I'm actually in the sun, into the sun, but you can see the start of the new compost heap. I'm putting the wood together, but I think we're going to turn it round and maybe create a bit more of a gap between the compost heap and the fence so that we can have some flowers perhaps growing up there, just to make it look a little bit more attractive from the outside. Right, I think since I last showed you, Johnny's been quite busy. He's now turned over all this area here, and I think if I can give you an idea, from where I'm standing over to the fence panel, and the whole of that panel, and from where I'm standing was the compost heap. Just a mound of mess. Wow, the brassicas all seem to be holding up well. I thought with all the high winds we might have seen a little more damage, because I still haven't got round to staking. The broccoli here, but it's actually looking quite good. And the cabbage, well, it looks like something is still having a nibble on those. I don't know if it's the pigeons or what. We did put some more slug pellets, some wool slug pellets down to try and prevent it, but I think it's the birds. They're evidently hungry, so bless them. And the garlic is actually coming on a storm. Brilliant. I'm really pleased. I think, as I said on an earlier video, we started this off in the greenhouse, so it was really well established when we came to plant it outside. A lot of condensation in there. And the temperature, I think you can see, probably is about 5 degrees. Right, got some radish growing on the right hand side here. And in this bag is a family heirloom. I don't suppose you can see much other than a mound of muck, but that's actually a rhubarb crown that's been given to me by my father that had belonged to my grandfather. So it is a bit of an heirloom. I know the story is that you have to replace rhubarb once it's a few years old, but I'm just going to have a go with this because it does mean something, and I think my dad would be furious if I just binned it. Right, peas are all growing fine. I've got 3 there, or maybe 4 that haven't germinated. And the onions are standing up straight, look at them, wow. And 2 broad beans still on their own with the two no-shows. And look at those sweet peas, wow. Roll on spring and I can plant those out. actually still holding its own, and it's still producing fruit. Oh my word, this is such good news. Right, and there, as Alice calls it, the little shed of happiness. And I'm about to go in there now and change my footwear so I can harvest some of that cabbage. Speak to you later. Isn't it incredible how allotments draw you in? Sometimes you can go to the allotment with the expectation that you're going to be there 15 or 20 minutes while you harvest some vegetables or do some watering or just generally check on how things are. And before you know it, you're completely absorbed. And 1 or 2 hours have passed without you even realising. And that's how it was for me today. It was glorious down at the allotment. The birds were singing. It was quite warm. I noticed that the temperature in the greenhouse started at 5 degrees when I arrived, and about an hour and a half later it had gone up to 10. And I was really reluctant to go home. I could have spent the entire afternoon there. But it's close to Christmas and we all have things to do. And for me, it's make some fudge. Now there is a word of warning that comes along with this recipe. It is very sweet. However, it's Christmas and you are allowed a little treat. So what I would suggest is you abide by the 12 days of Christmas and just have a couple of pieces of fudge a day. Personally, I'm going to gift wrap my fudge and give it to some friends and family as a little Christmas piece of love from me. We have here 2 20cm square baking tins that I've greased and lined. Now for the ingredients. There's 100 grams of butter, 125 ml of Irish cream liqueur, 500 grams of chocolate, have here a mix of dark and milk chocolate. And finally we have a tin here, I think it's 397 grams of condensed milk. My mum has a name for this. She calls it conioni. I just wondered if there's anybody else out there that actually calls it by that name. I think it's a post-war thing. In the bowl I've combined the condensed milk, dark milk chocolate and the butter. I'm now going to bob this bowl into the microwave on 50% power. It's going to take about 6 to 8 minutes for the chocolate to melt, but I'm actually going to stop the microwave every 2 minutes and give it a good stir. Here are my melted ingredients, and the next step is to stir in the Irish cream liqueur a little at a time. So here we are, it's all mixed up, silky smooth, and I have to tell you it smells absolutely divine, and it's got the most luxurious, shiny look to it. So I'm now going to split this mixture between the 2 baking tins, and then they're going to go in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours. Right, the 2 trays are now ready to go into the fridge. Just a little word of warning, if you have any little people around whilst you're doing this who want to lick the spoon, just remember that there is alcohol in it. But if there's no little people and you want to do it yourself, And that's perfectly okay. One thing you may want to consider is where you purchase your chocolate. Obviously, the major supermarkets, they're all pretty much of a muchness on price. But most of our towns now have our discount stores, and you can pick up good quality chocolate for obviously a lot less than you would pay in a main supermarket brand. Also, I was looking on one of the online retail sites. Just as a comparison, for 10 pieces of this fudge, it was $11.99 a box. So I'm hoping that this recipe will make at least 30 pieces. So you have to put the cost of the ingredients in perspective with how much you're going to get. This is going to be the last video for me before Christmas, so it just remains for me to say very happy Christmas to everybody out there, and can I thank you once again for taking me into the heart of the growing community, and I send you all my very best wishes to yourselves and your family for the Christmas period, and happy growing in 2019. Thank you.